So today I wanted to make another video. Wow, two videos in one day. And today's video is going to be more about Tribbie, right? Now, when I made that one video where I talked about how Tribbie and Mydei were looking just slightly underwhelming, I got so much shit for it because the few videos that I made before that one were covering power creep and how I hated power creep and HP inflation, right? However, the reason why getting a character who is weaker than a previous one sucks is because getting a newer character that's weaker while the end game increasingly gets more difficult is basically like trying to climb a mountain by putting a boulder in front of you and moving up with it, right? That's literally what it is. That is why I usually would like to see a DPS who's on the same level as a previous one, or even just slightly weaker or slightly stronger, because then that's usually an indication that there isn't really much other choices that have more value, and that they're a fine pull, especially if you like the character, right? Now, V1 Mydei. Mydei looks really good in the 3.1 MOC. However, the issue is the buff. This MOC buff is one of the most hyper-specific buffs we've ever had in the entirety of the MOC, and you can bet your ass that Mydei benefits from it. I've seen a lot of sustainless Mydei videos, and the only reason these videos can even exist is because of the MOC buff. If that MOC buff were to ever be removed, sustainless Mydei might not even be possible. I'm not sure. I'm sure some crazy man out there could do it with like triple eagle. However, do know that it'd be incredibly difficult without that specific MOC buff, right? So if you remove the MOC buff, he's slightly worse in my opinion than the Herta. Now, the plus that he has versus the Herta is the fact that he's actually like skill point neutral, so skill point positive. He doesn't use skill points at all, unlike the Herta, where her team uses a shit ton of skill points, including her herself. So getting like the light cone or like a support who is skill point positive is actually a pretty big deal for the Herta, while with Mydei, you have a lot of reserve skill points allowing you to run Huohuo, and because you can run Huohuo's ult giving 10% energy to all allies is really good for Remembrance MC, really good for Sunday, and really good for Mydei. It's just really good synergy when you run Huohuo Sunday Remembrance MC alongside a Mydei, right? So he is really good. If you really like the character, 100% go for him. Even though it's only the V1, I am confident he will end up being buffed, so do look forward to that, right? But the main reason I wanted to make this video was not because of Mydei, but because of Tribbie. Now, I gave Tribbie some slack, right? Because currently in the V1, Tribbie isn't even a best in slot for anyone, and if you have like a really high investment Remembrance MC, a lot of the leakers pretty much agree that Remembrance MC is still better over Tribbie. However, the reason I wanted to make this video is because a lot of people misinterpreted me into saying like, oh, you think Tribbie is going to be ass forever? No, I don't. I am confident that this is a Harmony who will obviously end up getting a best in slot team or a teammate that will allow her potential to be better taken advantage of, right? And one of the examples of this is Anaxa. Now, we don't know if the old kit leaks for Anaxa still hold up, but if they do, all the leakers were saying that Anaxa would be like this type of sub crit DPS support, right? He's a sub DPS that you put in any crit DPS team. He'll add some support capabilities while also being a sub DPS who dishes out good damage. Now, the reason this could completely change Tribbie's value, at least for the Herta team in specific, is that Remembrance MC is a sole hyper carry buffer, right? With the Herta, if you were to run two characters that are both doing damage, you probably want to give them both buffs, in which Tribbie's team-wide res pen and her ult giving 30% damage vulnerability towards enemies would be significantly more value if there were a second DPS on the Herta's team that actually did significant damage, meaning Tribbie's value is likely lying in a specific the Herta team alongside Anaxa, because then you can run them both and take advantage of both of their damages. This is just my guess, right? Of course, once again, nothing is confirmed. We still don't know if the old Anaxa leaks are even still reliable, considering he went from Ice Nihility to Imaginary Erudition. However, do keep in mind that that's all it takes, right? All it takes is for Anaxa to be the best sub DPS slash sub DPS support in the entirety of the game to increase his value alongside Tribbie, because this means you'll likely want to put Tribbie as, in my opinion, for characters who cannot take much advantage of attack, Tribbie is actually a better buffer than Robin, right? Of course, Robin has that action advance that does give her an advantage. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. However, in terms of just pure buffs, Tribbie is, in my opinion, the best team buffer in the game for the upcoming characters that can't really take full advantage of attack, right? So I don't think Tribbie is going to be garbage. I do think her pull value probably won't be the best for like one or even a couple of patches. However, I am fully confident she will end up getting a best in slot team where she's going to make a real big difference in. And I just truly think that that best in slot team will be the Herta Anaxa Tribbie team, where Tribbie's buffs can be applied team wide, allowing the entire team to take advantage of the damage. Because keep in mind, currently the Herta is basically the only damage dealer on her team. For example, if you were to look at my team right now, Remembrance MC is the support, Herta is literally just a battery for regenerating energy, and Lingshaw is as well pretty much just there for regenerating energy and doing stacks, right? And another thing I forgot to mention is a lot of people said me pulling Tribbie, or you not having to pull for Tribbie if you have Herta E1, means that she's just not any good at all if you pull her when you already have E1 Herta. Now, the reason I say this is because stacks become significantly less of an issue once you have E1 Herta, because with E1 Herta, 50% of these stacks are actually interpreted on top of whatever stacks are already there on an enemy, right? So if there's 28 stacks, you get an extra 12, or sorry, you get an extra 14, allowing you to hit the 42 stack max threshold. And you can even overcap this to where if you have 42 stacks, you can then get a total of 63 because it adds 21 and overcaps. That's why the E1 basically gets rid of the need for Tribbie in terms of having an optimal team. However, Tribbie still adds a lot here because of her follow-up on every single time a teammate uses their ult. This still regens energy really well. Like, I don't think there's any character in the game that can regen the Herta's energy faster than Tribbie because of how often you're able to get ults off on that team, right? And I imagine that Anaxa shouldn't be too hard to get his ult off, considering that this is likely going to be the Herta's best in slot. So Hoyo should be aware that being able to get as many ults off alongside Tribbie and AoE tax off is what truly matters with the Herta. So once again, I don't think Tribbie is exactly like the worst pull in the world, right? I also think there's a good chance she receives some slight buffs throughout the versions. It's just that I don't think there's a team currently that can take best advantage of her. Even currently, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt and assuming that Anaxa's kit hasn't changed in the slightest and that he continues to be a sub DPS and not just like a straight up battery for the Herta, right? So do keep that in mind. Things always change. Leaks always change. Even when we got like Tribbie leaks a few days before the in-game leaks, there were still some wrong pieces of information. Same with Mydei. Mydei, they were saying that Mydei paired up with imaginary teammates would get a healing boost with his technique, and that was just not in the game at all once the testing hit. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Tribbie does have some future value if she ends up being the best possible side support for an Anaxa plus crit DPS combo, right? I do think that's going to be likely where her potential lies. And obviously, I think her biggest potential will once again be on the Herta team. So I hope you all have a good day. Hope you have a good night. let me know what you guys think. Are you still planning to pull for Tribbie? Are you planning to pull for Mydei? Mydei does have a pretty fucking sick design. The only reason I'm not pulling Mydei is because I just want Casterus more, and there aren't enough supports to go around, right? Like, straight up, between the big Herta, if I were to also pull Mydei, it's too much, right? They both want the exact same supports. I need to choose my 1 HP scaling DPS carefully, and I simply like Casterus more, right? So have a good day, have a good night, peace.